Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 2. So in this video I am going to talk about breakpoints. So we have a session, static, external breakpoints. Then SYST structure, it's a system variable we call it as, and the flow of the debugging. So these are the three areas which I'm going to cover in this video. So for the breakpoints, as I told it, we're going to see about static, external and conditional breakpoints. Different type of breakpoints depends on the requirement we are going to use. And SYST is the system variable. Frequently we have to use these variables to understand what is happening inside the debugging screen. And we are going to understand the flow of the debugging with the help of 4 important function keys. It's F5, F6, F7 and F8. So this is the agenda for today's video. Let me jump into my system. Okay, this is the program. So let me create new one. So first I'm going to explain about breakpoints. Okay, I think I have it there. Let's change this. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I have a program, okay, with a do of 100 times, meaning this code is going to execute for 100 times. Okay, so that is the idea. So now I'm going to have a breakpoint over here, and I'm going to understand so what is happening. Okay, so for that I need to create a session breakpoint. So that is one point. The next one is, so these are all static breakpoints. So I have created already the program because for the time consuming I don't want to take much time to type the program, so that's why I already created. So here these are a static breakpoint. So preferable or the mandatory part is don't use the static point, so static breakpoint. The reason behind is once your program is done and if it is moved to quality and production, what happens at static program, whoever runs it just stops over there. Okay, so breakpoint is nothing but it's going to interrupt the program flow. That is the use of breakpoint. So I don't want to execute the program fully, I don't want to interrupt, I want to stop in the middle of the program and see what is happening in the program. So that's why we need a breakpoint. So this is static breakpoint. You can use it in your dummy programs, but not in the projects. You have to be very cautious if it is used in any of the project. Better you can make sure before moving to quality, you have to remove this line. So best part is don't use it because we have some other options as well. Okay, so there's not a necessity we have to use a static breakpoint in your program. The next one is break username. Actually, this is the username. Okay, so SAP ID, I can say your SAP ID. You can say break your SAP ID. This is also not advisable to use it, but the safer side is even if you forget to remove, it will go to quality and productions. So if you run the transaction or run the program through your user ID, then only will come and stop. Otherwise, it won't disturb the other users. Okay, but still it's not advisable to use a static breakpoint with a username. Okay, even if it is used, make sure remove it before sending to quality. So these are two static breakpoints which are currently available. So let me activate this. Okay, so I'm going to use a session variable now. So session variable is nothing but is a internal breakpoint. I can say session breakpoint. I'm sorry, session breakpoint is nothing but an internal breakpoint, meaning I'm going to call this program directly. So you can use session breakpoint. So what is external breakpoint? Suppose this program is going to call by some other program, some other function module or an external application. Okay, in that case also I want to interrupt the program with the help of breakpoint. Then we have to go to the external breakpoint. I will show you this with the help of function module. So now I'm going to show you the session breakpoint. So let me have a breakpoint on line number 11. So as mentioned in the previous video, you can't keep a breakpoint any of the declaration statement. Even if you try to keep, it will automatically go to the next executable statement. Okay, so and another point, your program or function module or whatever medium you have the code, that should be active, then only you are able to keep the breakpoint. So inactive objects, you are not able to keep the breakpoint. So now the interruption is going to happen line number 11. I'm going to execute it. Okay. And it says session 1 connected to the debugger. So I just come with the, by default, it's a standard debugger. It's a new debugger, standard new debugger. Yes. So it stops here. Line number 11. Just double click, count as 0. The preferable, so because we started from the basic, so preferable tab is desktop 3. We'll see tab by tab little later. So preferable is go with the desktop 3. It's a little lengthier, so you have a code and you have the variable details as well. Okay, so the L count value is 0. Okay, so 100, do 100 times, let it be. Now let me introduce the structure which I mentioned is SYST. Okay, system variables we call it as. So if you go to S11, type SYST and display, you will get all the fields whatever is available over there. So this will be very helpful in a debugging level. So just double click. It has variables. It will run or it will load at the runtime. Okay, just double click SYST. Any variable or any structure, if you want to go get inside the variable or the internal table or work area, whatever it is, just double click. It will take you to the next screen where it will display all the fields belongs to the particular structure or the work area. Okay, so if it is a variable, it shows only the technical aspects. Technical aspects nothing but what is the data type, what is the length of the particular variable. I will show you that as well. So here it shows almost you have a lot of fields over here, like index, page number, tab x, tfl. So depends on the program, a few fields are used inside the program. Depends on the program only it will fill. It's not compulsion all the times all the fields are getting filled. No, depends on the program code, it will fill, depends on that. Okay, for example, tfl is nothing but it shows how many records available in your database table. So it will fill only after select. Okay, so index fill whenever there is a any index like do. Okay, so there is a do where condition, then it will sorry, while it will fill the index one. Okay, so page number, it fills only in the report. Suppose in the report you have a more than one pages, then only this field will fill, otherwise it will empty. So the same way you have a lot of things. So you have a tb, oh sorry, this is a db count, especially for how many records after your select. So not tfill, I'm sorry. Okay, and is actually a offset position. So column number, column count, line number, a lot of things are available. So initially, and this is the, I can say it's a king of all the fields, size barzi. Size barzi is a major field which we are using very frequently, size barzi. Okay, so now go to desktop 3. So once you double click, it will change the tabs. So if it is internal table, it goes to tables. So make sure where you are. Just come to desktop, or you can leave F3, it come to the desktop. So here I'm going to show you very first field is index. Okay, so it's like SYST index or SY index, first two characters in if. Index is 0, and here by default you have size barzi and site tabx. Okay, so now I'm going to explain about index. So index is nothing but it will tell the iteration of the loop. Especially this will be useful only at the do, not at the loop. Okay, loop is, it's going to be used for the internal tables where it has the data, but here it's not, there is no data, it simply run based on the numbers. So it's going to run for 100 times. So if you press F5, so this is the first one, if you press F5, it go to the next line, and if you see site index is 1. Okay, it will tell you, so now you are in the first iteration of this loop. Okay, I'm going to do continue the F5. So next time it will execute because the breakpoint stops the line number 11, so keep on execute, the index is also getting increased. And this is the similar way lv count is just a variable, it's keep on increasing because the code is written incremental by 1, so it keep on increasing the value of the count as well. Okay, so now you can understand about at least about that SYST, what is index, and how we can see the value or getting changed or not. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to create a conditional breakpoint. For example, this loop is executed about 100 times. Okay, maybe 1,000 times, whatever it is. I don't want to start my debugging at 100 times. My first video I mentioned very clearly, so where to keep the breakpoint, that is very important. You have thousands of lines, you can start from line number 1, but that is waste, because debugging is needs more time and patience, and moreover the place where you start is very important. Okay, so that will decrease your time which you spend for the debugging. So here what I'm going to do is I want to start my debugging, maybe the iteration 52. So it depends on the requirement. Okay, so I don't want to press F5 for 51 times, then it comes to 52, then start my analysis. No, I don't want to do it. So for that, what I'm going to do is, let me take out the breakpoint. I want to execute this fully. Okay, I'm going to come inside. So if you want to execute fully, even if you press F8, okay, if you press F8, it just come out of it and it stops here. So this is one additional point. F8 is not like it full execution. It is a full execution, but if there is any breakpoint, maybe a static, external or session breakpoints or there, it will stops. Okay, so that is the meaning of F8. It's a full execution, it's a continuous execution, but if there is any breakpoint, it stops. Otherwise, it executes your program fully. Okay, so here it stops line number 15, and one more execution, it stops line number 17, and one more execution, it's come out of it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to create a conditional breakpoint. What is my condition? I want to start my analysis on the iteration number 52. Okay, so keep the breakpoint either 11 or 12, wherever it is. I'm going to keep inside the loop, execute. It stops at the index value is 1 because it's executed. So let me go to desktop 3, and here I'm going to see the index value. Yeah, it's 1. Now I'm going to create a breakpoint, conditional breakpoint. So go to the tab called breakpoint or watch point. So here it's clearly mentioned where your breakpoint, and the cursor is currently reached breakpoint. The arrow says reach breakpoint. Suppose you have more than one breakpoint, 10 or 15 breakpoints, this arrow stops exactly which breakpoint it's there. It's there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to create a condition. Okay, it shows a line number also, which row actually it stops. Okay, I'm going to create a condition. Just click. There is a pop-up. It's a free text, kind of free text. So what is our condition? My condition is whenever the index is reaching the value or the iteration is 52, stop. Okay, so continue. So I kept a session breakpoint and I added a condition inside the debugging window. Okay, now it's coming under break and watch point, and very specific, it's coming under the first tab of breakpoint. Then go to desktop 3. Now I'm going to full execute. I'm not going to press F5, because if you press F5, it will execute index on. I will show you. I'm going to press F5. What happens? It comes here. The index is 2. Okay, but I had a conditional breakpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F8. It stops. See, index is 52. Okay, I don't want to press F5 for 51 times because I have a conditional breakpoint. So now it stops here. So it's not only for SYST, even the conditional breakpoint is work for LV count as well. Okay, so let me show you that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep LV count is 51 because this line is not executed. The cursor is in 12. If I cross, then only it execute the line number 12. Okay, till the time is not executed the current line. Let me go here, breakpoint and watch point. Let me create a condition. You can have and then or as well. So let me go with this LV count. I will show you and then or with the actual content. Okay, like my sales order to be this, my sales order type to be this, then stops like that. So LV count should be 98. Continue. Okay, now go to desktop 3, full execution, F8. So here it's 98. Okay, count, and the index is 99. So whenever the counters reach 98, it should stop. Yes, it reached, so it stopped. Clear? So this is the use of conditional breakpoint. I'm going to just give a pause for this conditional breakpoint here. We'll see about once you start learning the loops. Once the loop comes, I will explain about the conditional breakpoint with the and or condition. Clear? So let me just execute fully. Okay, I have a static breakpoint, again one more static breakpoint, it comes out. So I explained about SYST structure and the static breakpoint and conditional breakpoint. So the next step is I'm going to explain that I'm going to the function keys F5, F6, F7, F8 with the help of some data debugging flow. So for that, I will show you a simple quick PPT to understand. Okay, suppose this is my main program. From my main program I have a function module. Okay, maybe these are line numbers. So 10th line I have a call statement to call the function module, and 45th line subroutine, it's again is going to call the subroutine, or we can call performs normally, right? Form and inform performs subroutine, and the 120th line I'm going to call another program. So this is my program. Okay, so these are called processing blocks. Like there are separate blocks where we can write the code to execute it. So that is the way. Now fi is the function key which executes line by line. So if you have 100 lines, it execute 1 2 3 4 5. That's where the fi will execute. It's a single line execution, line by line it executes. F6 is it will execute in bulk, or it execute the processing block one time without getting into the processing block. For example, I'm line number 10. Okay, example line number 10, my cursor is line number 10. I don't want to execute, I don't want to get into the function model, because function model has another 1,000 lines of code. My debugging or my analysis starts from maybe 45th line, not in the 10th line, or at least from the 12th line. Okay, not my intention is I don't want to get into the function module, okay, because that is not going to be useful for my analysis. So I'm not going to press F5. If I press F5, definitely will go inside the function module. So I'm going to click F6. So F6, what happens? It executes the processing block without entering into the processing block. Without entering into the function module, it executes the function module and go to the next line. That is F6. Same thing happens in 45. Suppose 45, you don't want to get into subroutine, press F6. And call another program, you don't want to get into the program, press F6. Okay. So this is very useful. Most probably you are going to debug a complex program or complex custom or standard program. These keys are very important. And F7 is, I want to execute F5, means I want to execute function model. I want to get into the function model and I want to execute line by line to find the root cause of the issue. So what I'm going to do is in 10th line, I'm going to press F5. It comes into the function module and I might execute line by line by line. It has almost 1,000 lines. Okay, so in the 150th line, I got it. So this is my issue. So what I'm going to do is I want to come out of the function. I don't want to execute remaining codes. So it has another function module, it has another subroutine also. I don't want to execute everything. I want to come out of the function module, but the remaining line should be executed. Okay, so in that case, press F7. So F7 is nothing but come out of any processing blocks. Okay, execute the rest of the line and come out of any processing block. So for that you have to use F7. Okay, and F8, you know very well, F8 is nothing but full execution, but it will execute till the next breakpoint. It can be a session or external or a static breakpoint. Okay, if there is no breakpoint, it execute fully. Okay, so this is the usage of F5, F6, F7 and F8. I will show you the same in the system. So this is my function module. So this function module will receive all the material data. So BAPI material data. Okay, so this is my processing block. Now what I'm going to do is, let me take out of my session breakpoint. So before F5, F6, F7, I'm going to tell you the external breakpoint, usage of external breakpoint. Just get into the function module. You can open separately or just double click. Okay, so forget about the code. So the intention is I want my program to be interrupted or stop inside this function module. I want analysis over here only. So what I'm going to do is, okay, these are executable statements. So keep the cursor and click external breakpoint, because this function module is not going to call directly. If it is direct, you can keep the session breakpoint. This is not going to call directly. So keep the external breakpoint over here, standard function module, and then come out of it. Okay, so there is no session breakpoint. Okay, let me comment this. Okay, so there is no session breakpoint over here. So the first breakpoint is external breakpoint, that is inside the function module. Now I'm going to execute it. So it shows ABAP debugger is starting and it stopped. Yes. So these are the place where you can see these are some standard programs. So this is okay. This is the function module. Mappy material is good. Get all. You are inside this function module. Okay. So you can continue. This is a class and method. So don't worry. Very code level now. So we have to press F6. So means this is one kind of processing block. It's a class and it's a method name. If I press F5, my cursor is in 51. There is a yellow, right? The cursor is in 51. If I press F5, it get into the class and method coding. I don't want to do it. Let me go to the line number 62 because this is one full statement. Okay, so if I press F6, what happens? It execute the method, the code whichever available in the method, and go to the next executable statement. So the next executable statement is line number 62. I'm going to press F6. Okay, so it's taking little time. Yes, the cursor is now 62. Now, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to come out of the function model because it has a lot of codings, right? So it has a lot of 200 lines of codings. It have a lot of other blocks as well. So I don't want to execute further. So the cursor shows very clearly the arrow mark. Just return, come out of the processing block and go to my program. So next executable statement of my program is 26 because this is the whole is one statement. Okay, it comes line number 26. So this is the use of external breakpoint. Clear? So now I'm going to show you an example for function keys. So this is one processing block. Okay, you can get into it or you can just execute it. And this is another processing block. Probably I didn't, yes, okay. Yeah, it is there. So I'm going to take the data from Mara for 100 records. This is another processing block. Okay. So now I'm going to keep a cursor on line number 20. So I'm going to keep a breakpoint over here, session breakpoint, because I'm going to call directly. So keep the breakpoint. It's not like you have to keep press this button. You can just press before any line number. It create a session breakpoint. Okay, then execute it. It comes and stops the line number 20, and here what I told, if I press F6, if I press F5, it goes inside. I don't want to get into that. Okay, if I press F6, it'll execute and come out and go to the next executable line is line number 26. So how I come to know it executes? Let me see. This is the return parameter of the function module. If I press F6, it executes, return the values to this particular return parameter, and go to the next line. Okay, let's see. Now it's actually empty. I didn't execute it. I'm going to press F6. So it goes to line number 26. Oh, okay. One additional point. It's a good one. It goes to the next line, but inside the function model, if we have any other static or external breakpoint is already available, it goes and stops. Okay, because this one I kept to show you how the external breakpoint is worked. Just click to remove, to get out of the breakpoint and save it. That's better, and execute it. So just F7, come out of it. Okay, now let me show you again because it stopped inside the function module. So that is one notable point. So if there is any breakpoint anywhere, if there is any breakpoint, it goes and stops. Okay, whatever key you press, it doesn't matter. Even F6, F5, F8, it goes and stops if there is a breakpoint. So now I'll show you again, and let's see this. It is empty now. Okay, so F3, go back, and I'm going to press F6. So I removed the external breakpoint. So it's come and stops 26. Let's see whether this return parameter got any data. Yes, it got all the relevant data from the function module. The same thing I'm going to over here. So here, if I press F6, what happens? This IT Mara is also getting filled. Now the value is 0. Records, number of records is 0. So press F6, and without entering into that, okay, so there is no next line, next executable line. That's why it's come out of it. Let me have a breakpoint. Okay. So the static breakpoint sometimes used in this way as well. So keeping at the end after subroutine there is no executable line, so I want to still stop it. That is one of the way to use it. So let me execute it again. It comes and stops line number 20. I'm going to press F6, and here just double click Mara. Now it's 0 value, and press F6, it should be 100. Yes, it's 100 records. So just double click to see the content of your internal table. So we'll have a lot of things in this, how to change the values, delete entries, add entries, upload entries from Excel to your breakpoint internal table, download from breakpoint to your Excel. So a lot of things we will see in next consecutive videos. So hope this is clear in this session. So we covered SYST and session, static, external breakpoint, and finally I just explained how the flow is happening with the help of F5, F6, F7, and F8. So I told, right, if you double click it will take you to the concern tab. Just double click IT Mara, it takes you to the tables tab. Okay, and again go to desktop. If you double click any variable, it shows normally what is the technical like aspects, like it is an integer 4 and what is the type of your variable. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, and if you have any doubt, maybe you can just drop me an email. So whenever I have a time, I just respond to your email. So my email ID is ji2 as a numeric value share share at gmail.com. Okay, so ji2share at gmail.com. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next video.